Virgo, and welcome to your forecast for the upcoming lunar eclipse in Gemini. So this happens on the 30th of November and will last for approximately 2 weeks, which covers the waning moon cycle of the moon. And the idea of this eclipse is to really clear up anything left over from that Sagittarius lunar eclipse we had back in June, because in many respects this is the twin to that particular eclipse, as well as kind of make peace and close out anything that you want to leave behind in 2020 and get clear about what you want to really focus on in 2021, so that you're ready to plant the seeds of intention when we come to the solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December the 14th. So this eclipse happens for you in your 4th and your 10th houses. The Sun in Sagittarius will be here in your 4th house of family, home and roots, and the Moon in Gemini will be in your 10th house of career, fame and honors. So this is the axis, the MCIC axis is the one that's activated by this particular eclipse. And so in many respects what you're doing is you're getting clear about future direction of travel, but in order to do that sometimes we need to let go of a few things in the area of the roots. So we could be talking about a change of career, we could be talking about relocation, or simply a kind of a change, a cycle change, or a revelation. You know, if you think about the Gemini Sagittarius axis, it's all about knowledge, seeing, knowing, that kind of thing. So it could be that you start to see things from a different perspective, and possibly get the missing pieces of the puzzle, you know, with something that you've been confused about. So yeah, we'll see what happens when we get into the reading. But overall energies, this particular full moon is ruled by by Mercury, which rules Gemini. So Mercury is going to be quite prominent at this full moon. Mercury in Scorpio, so it's going to be here in your 3rd house of communication, self-expression, and you know, your mindset. And from here, Mercury is going to be making a sextile on the day of the eclipse to Saturn in Capricorn. So Capricorn here for you in your 5th house of children, leisure, activities, creativity, and new love affairs. So it's possible that you could hear from somebody, possibly you've been waiting to hear from them. It could be somebody that you kind of had your eye on. It could also be discussions around a child, perhaps a holiday. We'll clarify with the trinkets as we get more into the reading once I pull the Geomancy cards. And then the other key aspect happening at this particular full moon lunar eclipse is that Chiron, which is in Aries, so this is in your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy, joint ventures, this will be making 2 positive aspects to the Sun and the Moon. So opportunities here for healing. Now bear in mind that Chiron is currently retrograde, so we could be talking about retrospective matters that involve the splitting of assets, the joining of forces. You know, if for example you are going to business with somebody, or you have, can also be about tax legacies, you know, wills, that kind of thing, inheritances, as well as divorce settlements, any kind of contractual arrangement where you and one other person potentially are sharing assets or possessions. And then the final thing that I want to mention is Neptune. Now Neptune will be going direct in your house of relationship, so 7th house of committed partnerships. These can be both business and personal. They're one-to-one. Generally they are long-term, so they tend to be governed by a contract. Say for example in the case of a civil partnership or a marriage, it's governed by a contract. Equally, if you have a contract with an agent or a business partner, you know, this is where it's going to be. So Neptune going direct here. Neptune's been retrograde for some months now, but it turns direct on the 29th of November, so just before this particular lunar eclipse, and it will from here be making a T-square to the nodes which are in Gemini and Sagittarius. So in this respect it mirrors the energy of that June lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, where we also had a T-square between Neptune and the nodes, but at that point we also had Mars in the mix. Mars has now since moved into Aries and is moving direct. It went direct in mid-November. So I do feel as though this is going to mean, forward momentum when it comes to joint projects. When it comes to Neptune, however, if there is any confusion or doubt or just a lack of clarity when it comes to relationships or how people feel, in relation to, work and home life, that sort of work-life balance, I think that you'll get some clarity at this full moon. So those are the kind of key planetary aspects. Let's dive into the geomancy and see if we can get some more details. Alright, so let's start with the sun and the moon. So I definitely feel as though this full moon for you is about getting very clear about your future direction of travel, with Puer here in your 10th house, clarifying the moon. I feel as though, Mars, this is Mars ruled, and it's the first sign of the zodiac, so it's all about new beginnings but also forward movement. So really focusing on the future and on what you want to achieve. What are your your life ambitions, your goals for the future, and really focusing on how to go about achieving those. Now here down in your 4th house we've got Populus, clarifying the sun. So for me this is about community or groups of people. Very often this can be family groupings, given that it is 4th house. So it may be that you're getting some more information, possibly from a male member of the family, and it will help you to get clearer about where you stand in relation to groups of people, such as a family or a neighborhood. We will clarify with trinkets, but essentially we are talking about some kind of group membership. It could also have something to do with, for example, things that you've inherited through the ancestral lines, so through a number of people, kind of going back several generations, and in that sense you're kind of standing on the shoulders of your ancestors in many ways, and that can of course be a blessing and a curse. Let's look at Neptune. Yeah, so it does look to me as though Neptune retrograde hasn't been the easiest for you when it comes to significant others. Tristia here suggesting that you may have had either been kind of separated from others or had experienced disappointments around loved ones. It could be, for example, that a loved one was ill, because Tristia can sometimes signify illness. It's also about sorrow, and it can also be about people falling in our estimation, because it is the falling tower. So something to bear in mind there. Let's see what's going on in the 5th house. Wow, so interesting. Could be a new passionate either passion project or a passionate new connection coming in for you here. Saturn could be potentially a kind of a manifesting energy. Rubeus here is red, so it's literally what you're passionate about. And this could be creativity, could be a child, it could be a sport, but equally it could be about a passionate connection, a new love connection that's got a lot of passion, kind of to it, that initial flush of attraction and so on. And then in your 8th house, which is also the house of sex, how funny, we've got Rubeus again. So yes, I kind of feel as though if you feel like you've been missing out when it comes to being able to express yourself physically, or you've not had a lot of opportunities to get some action, I do think that's changing for you now, but I think this is more to do with healing when it comes to things around sexuality, because those are the things that we tend to be quite ashamed about on a lot of levels. You know, if we are worried about our prowess or even our libido. So I do feel as though this is now giving you opportunities to heal. So maybe a firing up of the libido. Let's see what's happening in the 6th house. Okay, yeah, so I mean, it's possible that you've had a bout of poor health. This is the house of work, routines, as well as health. Crosshair here being about restrictions. So maybe you've been confined to your bed or to your home. Could also be lockdown, of course. But yes, I do feel as though potentially you're like a bit of a caged animal wanting to sort of to get out and to have some connection with other people. It could also be that a little bit of obsession or fixation here. So just something to be aware of. You know, not to kind of get too obsessed or too narrow or limited in terms of thinking, you know, that kind of thing. But oh my goodness, so we've got Rubeus again here for your 3rd house. So this is where Mercury will be, and of course Mercury making that sextile to Saturn. So it looks to me as though passionate exchanges perhaps with you know, a love interest, because we've got Rubeus here twice, and we've got it in your 8th house, which is it can be about, you know, illicit affairs or sex, that kind of thing. So definitely passion on the brain here, Virgo. Yes, it could also be about mental fixation, you know, like OCD or anxiety, that kind of thing. So just, I think, be careful of getting into a little bit of a rut or a funk, a fixation, because eclipses tend to be times of kind of loosening of what has become a little bit too limited or focused, shall we say. The best way to use Rubeus is really to focus it on achieving something rather than the more negative side, which can be you know, anger, resentment, stalking, you know, not we don't want to be kind of moving into that sort of energy. Right, let's look at the 1st house. Okay, this is a bit more positive. So Fortuna Major in your 1st house. For me, this tells me that you are very focused on success at the moment. You're wanting to kind of make things happen, to see some achievements, kind of some results from your efforts. And you know, I kind of feel with Puer here in your full moon, you know, your house, the 10th house, that is certainly possible if you are focused and motivated. This is the more positive expression of Mars energy as opposed to Rubeus. This is Mars in its night rulership position of Scorpio, which is water energy. This is 2 fire signs. So I think career definitely is a go here. Let's look at finances. Okay, so finances leveling out. Puella here is all about balance and cooperation, harmony. So I think the books are balancing basically when it comes to finances. So that's really good to see. Let's see what's going on psychologically. Okay, so yes, definitely being asked to let go of you know, a certain way of thinking, maybe self-sabotage, possibly this energy that we've got here in your 3rd house, which is kind of, as I said, can be a little bit obsessive. So not ruminating too much or kind of getting fixated on anything, you know, stinking thinking and all that kind of stuff. Time to let that go. And what better time to do that than a full moon lunar eclipse. All right, let's see what's happening in the 9th house. Very nice. So again, emphasizing this Puer energy here. So again, I think it's what it's saying is you need to focus your energy on retraining your beliefs and have that focus be on what you can achieve, you know, looking at the future rather than looking back at the past, and feeling motivated, you know, I can do something. So really a lot of affirmations I think would be beneficial now to really give you that momentum and motivation to sort of move forward. Okay, in your 11th house of friendships and groups, we've got Albus. So this is white, literally, and this stands in stark contrast to Rubeus, which means red. So for me, that is passion. This is reason. It can also be a fresh start, a blank sheet of paper. And what I'm feeling is that the perfect antidote to all this kind of obsessive, passionate energy is friends and kind of getting out and seeing people. So I do think that this stinking thinking that we've got here is possibly because you spend too much time on your own due to restrictions with regards to socializing and getting around. So I think it would be very beneficial if you can to just even if you schedule Zoom calls or a phone call every now and again with friends, just to sort of clear your head and move you out of difficult emotional spaces and mental spaces. Alright, but let's get some trinkets just to clarify here. So the moon first of all. Beautiful. So moving forward with passion and purpose. So I do think that if there is something that you really want to do career-wise that is motivated more by the heart than the head, then I think this is the time to pursue it. Beautiful. So down here for the sun, we've got the stars. So I do feel as though there's healing in coming in for you with regards to family dynamics. I also think that this is about hope for the future. So really asking you to be optimistic and not to kind of, sometimes we inherit negative patterns or beliefs from our family. And I think with Puer here echoed in your 9th house, I think you're really being asked to sort of rewrite your the scripts in your head, your beliefs, so that you can move forward and not necessarily repeat the patterns of the past. So really asking you to be optimistic. Okay, then for Tristia here in your 7th house is the snake. So I do feel as though you feel betrayed on some level by somebody. And as I say, Neptune, when it's retrograde, can sometimes be about deception. So I think you feel as though somebody pulled the wool over your eyes, and when you saw the light, you were a little bit disappointed. Let's find out more about Rubeus here. So some kind of block. Yeah, I mean, this could be it may have something to do with say for example you needed to get a loan from the bank or something, that there was some kind of delay or obstacle, you didn't qualify for that loan, or it could also be a block in terms of, say for example, you were due to inherit some money and somebody contested the will. That can also be a block. And equally, given all this Rubeus energy, it could also be blocks as in you couldn't you couldn't either express yourself passionately towards somebody that you are very attracted to, or it could potentially also be about sexual dysfunction. Let's just find out more. Could also be about insecurities that kind of hold you back, kind of inhibition. Interesting. So here we've got the coffin. So I do kind of feel as though this has got to do with either the end of if we think about Saturn does often end things. It's the planet of old age and limitation. So in a way, kind of echoing this energy you've got here in your 8th house. So it could be that a romantic connection didn't go anywhere. It kind of died a death, maybe prematurely. Let's see what's happening here with Mercury, given this sextile. But I think this could also be telling you to sort of let go of this this energy, just kind of give it a rest a little bit. Okay. Yeah, interesting. So the anchor for me almost echoing the Saturn energy. So if we think of this as being the sort of Mercury Saturn sextile, then I think you're being asked to kind of like almost settle your thinking down a little bit. The anchor is sometimes where we get stuck. So maybe you need to ground yourself and just sort of let go of this energy a little bit. You're a little bit in your head and you need to come down into your body, or it could be that you are stuck, so you need to lift the anchor up in order for the energy in your mental body and your emotional body to flow, so that you can kind of process whatever it is that you're kind of ruminating about. Alright, let's have one quickly for Corsair, and then let's look at the outcome of your reading. Okay, yeah, definitely being asked to encourage more flow into your life. Now, it could be that, this restriction has to do with employment. Maybe you've found it difficult to find work, but things are going to start flowing more, and that this is where eclipses can be great. They can really loosen up anything that's rigid, or get something unstuck that was maybe stuck. So possibly some money coming in for you through employment, but just generally more flow, which is a good kind of antidote to this boxed in energy of Corsair, which literally means imprisoned, incarcerated, so feeling hemmed in or stuck. Okay, let's look at your outcome. Yeah. All right, so interesting. So what I kind of feel here is that you may be keen to form alliances with one other person, and it could be a lover, a child, somebody that you want to work with potentially, and somehow it's a kind of it's a case of maybe you need to just let go a little bit, because we've got fear here as your outcome, and that's usually about forward movement and flow. This is water, it's a water element. So I think you're just being asked to not grip on so tightly, maybe just kind of loosen up a little bit, and allow things to flow like this fish here, and lift up your anchor as well, let go of something, and then the blocks may possibly kind of dissipate of their own accord. So really kind of coming into more heart-based energy here, forgiving, moving on, and just allowing, just giving people the space to kind of be who they are, allowing situations to accepting them, the situation as it is, and very often that acceptance then just leads to flow. Then the situation kind of changes by itself, or we feel able to move on. So for me, Via is very much about moving on, moving forward. It's the road, literally. So forward movement with Puer here. Let's pull some trinkets. Yeah, definitely. So the rider or the chariot here, this is definitely about forward movement. So I definitely feel that you're being asked to leave the past behind and to start looking forward to the future. So for you, I think this lunar eclipse is definitely about releasing things that you don't want to take with you into 2021, just making peace with the past and reorienting yourself back towards the future. Okay, so that's nice. I just want to pull one for Rubeus. Alright, well that's very nice. So whatever the current situation, I feel as though things are going to move in a more positive direction. The minute you decide to move forward, I see gestures of goodwill here, apologies possibly, or offers like overtures to work with others, to join forces, and with the stork here, I see this as being a positive change. So moving from this Rubeus energy, which, as I say, can be about fixated energy, where we get a little bit stuck or obsessed. Here we've got movement in a positive direction. So I think it's all about reorienting, pivoting, looking to the future now, and being willing to move on, and that will really take things forward for you. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful, Virgo. Do let me know in the comments if it's resonated. I will be doing, as I say, a separate forecast for the upcoming solar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is really the twin to this one, but that one is taking us forward into 2021. So I think use this 2-week period to really get clear about what you want to leave behind. Get yourself prepared so that you're ready to sow the seeds of intentions when we come to that new moon solar eclipse in a couple of weeks. But anyway, wishing you lots of love, and I'll see you again soon.